Welcome to Season 2's End of Season Awards. You guys enjoyed having the Season Awards at the end of Season 1. It was a highly requested feature for this realistic Road to Glory save, and we're bringing it back. Obviously, it's not as popular an episode as a regular episode, but hopefully you guys enjoy. Thank you for all of your feedback. We have, again, of course, to dish out a player of the season, a young player of the season, a fans player of the season, a signing of the season, a most improved player of the season, and in this episode you will get to vote on your goal of the season. You'll find a link in the description down below. Obviously, I'll show you the goals before you go and vote, so don't do that yet. But you will find a link in the description down below to the tweet where you can go and vote for the 4 options for goal of the season. But first, we have a couple of other things on the agenda. Of course, the initial player of the season votes. In fact, that still says Season 1 on the thing in front of me, so I'll have that changed next time we come back to this screen to say Season 2. Apologies. It is the end of Season 2. If you missed the season finale, by the way, you need to go and watch that. That's all I'll say for now. Liverpool won the Champions League, but that's not important. What is important is who's won player of the season at Cambridge United this year. And your player of the season is Luke Berry. Came back to the club, bought from Luton Town. Obviously started his career at Cambridge, went to Barnsley, came back to Cambridge, went to Luton, and we've brought him back to Cambridge once more. At 32 years of age, he took the captain's armband and had a phenomenal season back in Amber and Black. With 10 goals and 7 assists in all competitions, he ran the midfield, scored many a fantastic goal, many an important goal, and is a worthy winner of the player of the season this year around. Close second, an honourable mention for Jack Stevens for this player of the season vote. Certainly he was up there as well, with 20 clean sheets in all competitions for Jack Stevens this year. He absolutely deserves an honourable mention. 20 clean sheets, all in League One as well. He will maintain that starting spot in the 11 for at least the first half of our time in the Championship. We'll see how we're doing in the league at that point, but Jack's earned the right to go for that. Honourable mention for him, but your player of the season for Season 2 is Luke Berry. The second award was actually hotly contested as well. Young player of the season had a number of votes put in for a couple of players in particular. We had to decide what age the cutoff was for young player of the season, whether it was 21 or 23. We decided 23, which meant that Diabate was up for young player of the season. It was a toss-up between Diabate and Kirk Henderson. As Kirk broke into the team, Diabate was signed and broke into the team ahead of Zach Jules and Zeno Ibsen-Rossi as the now starting number 1 centre-back. The question is, who won young player of the season? 23-year-old Diabate or 18-year-old Kirk Henderson? And the answer is the young Scot. Kirk Henderson arrived at the club through the youth setup this season, immediately forced his way into the starting lineup with some good performances and stayed there as those good performances continued. He will be starting at CDM alongside either Luke Berry, probably has to be Luke Berry at the beginning of next season, or an aforementioned, or as of yet unmentioned, central midfielder that may join us in the summer transfer window. The central midfield position is very much up for grabs long term, with Berry being 32, but player of the season, Luke Berry, in one side of the midfield, and young player of the season, Kirk Henderson, and the other part of the holding roles in midfield, prove that that part of the pitch at present is locked down. Luke at 32 and with 1 year left on his deal, though, will probably be relinquishing that spot throughout the course of next season or at the end of next season, depending on how we do in the Championship, of course. But Kirk will be the mainstay. Digby's going to leave us. Jordan Cousins has had a 1 year extension in real life and in save. But Kirk is your young player of the season this time around. The first 2 were decided upon by myself, player of the year and young player of the year. The next one is entirely your decision, or was entirely your decision, because you've had that decision, and your decision for fans player of the year is actually someone that won an award last season as well. But who? The who, the what, the where and the why. James Brophy is your fans player of the season for Season 2. After winning the full Player of the Season last year in Season 1, helping us challenge for promotion to the Championship. This season, having had a significant helping hand in getting us to the Championship, scoring some very important goals in a handful of 1-0 victories. James Brophy won your Player of the Season award this year around. 7 goals and 3 assists in League One. Not a sensational season for James Brophy, but he really is a fan favourite in this save, isn't he? He currently is maybe going to lose that starting spot in the 11 as we move up to the Championship. 7 goals in 45 games isn't sensational for a forward wide man. We would certainly like a few more if we can get them, and they might well come through a different player, but James Brophy certainly will at least run down his current 1 year remaining on his contract, and maybe, depending on what happens in the Championship next year, he might earn another further 1 year contract extension. If we get relegated, then absolutely James Brophy will stay with us. He's certainly a League One level player. The question remains as to whether he can make the step up with the rest of the younger, higher rated players to take us on to hopefully the next level with regards to the journey of this club and moving forward through the divisions. We've made it to the Championship. The question remains, can we stay in the Championship, and can James Brophy have a strong enough part to play in that potential eventuality? Only time will tell. One of the remaining 2 awards to be handed out is pretty much a slam dunk, that being signing of the season. Most improved player of the season, though, did split the voting a little bit. Someone we've already mentioned today, Diabate, the centre-back, was in the running for most improved player of the year. It was a centre-back last season that won that award in the shape of Zeno Ibsen Rossi, who still finds himself in the starting lineup at this moment in time. And his centre-back partner, Diabate, was close to 1 award. And unfortunately, he's going to be close to another, because the winner of the winner of most improved player of the season is the G-Man himself, George Thomas. We weren't sure whether starting him at cam was the right decision this season. We weren't sure whether we were going to sign someone else in that position. We had a number of names on our shortlist, a number of players we looked at. We elected to give George the start to the season to see what he could do, and what he did was also score some very important goals for us in very important games, especially in the latter half of the season. Similar to James Brophy, really. At 28, he's still got something to offer. In real life, he does have Championship experience as well, and we're hoping that he will continue to grow, even though he's currently peaked. We're hoping dynamic potential kicks in for a player of his nature, and fingers crossed George Thomas can have another fantastic year next year and maybe become player of the season next year. We shall have to wait and see. Not most improved in terms of grew the most in game, but most improved in terms of the impact he had on the team this season. Someone that didn't play as regularly for me last year, I don't believe, getting 40 starts this year, 9 goals, 5 assists. Top season from George Thomas, and very well earned. We mentioned signing of the season. You already know who it's going to be. It's Kusini Yengi. There's no point going back to the screen to come back to this one. Kusini Yengi is your signing of the season, because he's arguably the sole reason we were able to get that automatic promotion spot. We were fighting for playoffs before he arrived. We were fighting for playoffs whilst he was here. But that late season drive for an automatic promotion spot came with his 14 goals and 3 assists in 20 League One games. 17 contributions in 20 games is remarkable. He is now our highest rated player at 70 and will be the marking board, the aim, the height of our ambitions with regards what sort of players we look to buy or loan next season. Of course, as per the rules of the save, we are only allowed to buy players or bring in players at maximum no higher rated than the highest rated player in the squad. That at the moment is your signing of the season, Kusini Yengi, and very well earned as well. Had he been here for the full season and played like that, Player of the season would have been absolutely in no doubt whatsoever. And I'm sure fans' player of the season would have been in absolutely no doubt whatsoever either. Kusini Yengi could very well have cleaned up this year, but we've dished out awards to alternative players on this occasion. But signing of the season was certainly something that there was no argument about whatsoever. It's him. As you see in the chat box, and now it's time for goal of the season. Thank you very much, Ben. Perfectly timed and positioned. We have 4 nominees for you for the goal of the season vote this year around. Much more difficult to decide upon who's going to win it this time. Last year, Adam May's Worldie was by far and away the most voted goal of the season nominee. 80+% of the vote, I believe, for Adam May last year. This time around, it's going to be a lot closer. Like I say, there will be a link in the description to the tweet where you can go and vote for your goal of the season for this second year. Your first nominee is this. As was the case last year, shall show you the goal and me going berserk over them in the moment, and you can have your say. This one coming at home against Sheffield Wednesday through Marcus Brown. Deschamps Bernard gets rid of it, and Brophy's up with a header. Can we maybe create another chance for the end of this highlight? Brown. Yes. From range, dipping. Oh! Goal of the season competition is closed once again. Wow! It's not. It's still open. May. That's even better. Marcus Brown. Actually, no, Ches. 30 metres, in fact, even further. Slammed off the far post. Oh my God! Still pretty good though, wasn't it? Marcus Brown from 30 metres against Sheffield Wednesday at home. Firstly, let me know in the comment section, do you think that's better than Adam May's from last year? After watching it back and remembering Adam May's, I don't think it is, but it's in the moment, I thought it was. Goal of the season nominee number 2 actually comes from the same game. The second goal comes from the second half of that game, as we mentioned. Young Dylan Dodds came through the youth system, started the season with us, ended up going out on loan in the second half of the season, but not before he made an impact. Already scored his first goal of his professional career earlier in this game, and followed it up with this. And will ensure the dub. Dodsey. Dodsey! Oh, the making of the young man! One's not enough for him against Sheffield Wednesday. He wants to score another screamer. Well, of the two, it's hard to tell. One a laces, one a whipped finessa, but we're not done. 2 more yet to come. Your third option comes from a couple of episodes later. This one's slightly different to anything we've had in the voting before. Every goal to this point has been a one-off strike. This is a solo run. We haven't had many at all. Grieve picks up in his own half here. Grieve needs some support. Or is he? He's drifted past the man. And he's still going. Another. He's got support with him. Grieve going to go all the way. He's made up for
beating 2 defenders. I think the second defender twice.
Racing behind
to give us a goal against Grimsby.
He hit the post.
He hit the post earlier in that game.
And not only that, Grimsby were the side that we won at the end of the season to guarantee the automatic promotion as well. So rather fitting that in the earlier game against them, there was a standout goal as well for that one. The final vote is actually for a player that used to play for the team he scored against. We've actually even mentioned the player that scored, or player and team from which that they scored against. Luke Berry won player of the season and might win goal of the season too. We mentioned he moved to Barnsley earlier in his career in real life and ended up coming back to Cambridge United. He wins the ball back here initially at the beginning of the highlight, which in itself is great midfield work. We get lucky to keep the possession, but then Berry pops up with this.
Berry from range. There's a goal.
Always off the underside of the bar.
Berry from distance off the underside of the bar, and Cambridge are back in it. Out.
Any goal off the underside of the bar always looks that much better. But that's hard to decide, or harder at least to decide, than last season's nominees. So who is it for you? Marcus Brown from 30 metres with the absolute thumper that dipped. Dylan Dodds from 25 yards with the finessed whipper against Sheffield Wednesday, no less, for the young man. Alex Greaves' solo run against Grimsby Town. Or Luke Berry's thunderbolts from outside the range against his former team off the underside of the bar. You let me know by voting in the Twitter poll that you can see in the description down below. I will see you on Monday for episode 1 of season 3 in the Championship. Don't miss it. Have a great weekend.